Here I am finally doing some kind of random rambly update video to let you know where I've been and what I've been reading and all of that jazz. So that's why I'm here today. I have been, lots of things have happened. I've been really busy during the last couple of months, which basically just led to me not being able to read. I was in a huge reading slump. I had no time to read at all during almost 3 months, and the reason of that was just that I was very busy in several aspects of my life. First I was dancing at the World Championships in Irish dancing, which is always very stressful. You have lots of training to do before, and there's a lot of traveling, and then we went on a holiday right after in Belgium and the Netherlands, which was really nice. And then I've been in a lot of work just at the office. And here's an interesting update. I'm starting a master's degree in September in cultural journalism, which is really interesting and I'm so excited about it. But that as well took a lot of time because I had to write my application and go sit exams and have talks with all of the responsible people there and all of that jazz. So this really took up quite a big chunk of my time as well. And all of these reasons are why I haven't been reading as much. And since I haven't been reading, I didn't really have anything to talk about, which is why I didn't make any videos during the last couple of months. But anyway, I'm finally back, and I was just thinking a little bit about how I want to go on with this channel and my reading and everything. And now what I'm planning to do is to just keep on reading as I do now and start making videos again. However, I think I'm really not the kind of person, or I don't have the kind of life that allows for something like a regular schedule. So I'm just gonna post the video here and there and hope that some of you are gonna find them and watch them. But I'm not going to do strictly weekly or monthly or whatever videos. I'm just gonna come here when I have time and talk about my reading. I hope you're on board with that. However, if you do want more regular updates from me, I have picked up my Bookstagram again and I'm a bit more active there. So if you're interested in what I'm reading right now, then hop over to my Bookstagram, which is at the Zurich Review, I think. Anyway, I'll put it in the description box. Alright. Another update from my reading kind of life is that I don't have a Goodreads anymore. If you're interested in that at all, I'll talk about the reasons in another video at some point. However, I'm tracking my reading in just a basic journal now, in bullet journal style, and I'm really loving that. So I have all my TBRs and stuff there. That as well, let me know if you're interested in that, and then maybe I'll show you at some point. But just for now, know that I'm not on Goodreads anymore. So really, if you do want any very regular updates on my reading, you'll have to hop over to the Bookstagram. Alright, but now that I'm here, I thought I might as well talk a little bit about the books I've read recently. And even though I haven't been reading for nearly 3 months, throughout February all the way up until the end of April, I did manage to read a few books. One of them I was reading throughout several months, and the other then followed in May. So I do have a couple of books to talk about, which I recently read. And I'm going to start with a big chunker, which is part of the reason why I didn't get much reading done. It's actually this huge. It's got 900 pages, I think. And it's A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. Now, you've most certainly heard about this book, or at least about the HBO series. It's the sequel and the second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series, better known as the Game of Thrones, which is the first book, and the Clash of Kings here is the second. There's 4 or 5 more to come, so I still have a lot of work to do if all of them look like this. But anyway, even though I'm not used to reading big huge books, I really enjoyed this one. It was much easier for me to read than the first book in the series, because just, I have talked about this in a previous video. I think the first one for me was really, really hard to get into because there's so many characters and I was just utterly confused all the time. But then when I picked up this one, it was like coming back. I knew all the characters already. I felt quite at home in the story from the beginning. And also it basically just picks up right where a Game of Thrones has left you, which is nice because you just get the continuation of the stories. I don't really want to talk about the content of this because I don't want to spoil anything if you're like me and you've lived under a rock and you still don't know the series. Anyway, it's just a high fantasy series about a realm of 7 kingdoms, and there is a king, and now at the moment there's kind of several kings, and there's just a quarrel, like who gets the throne is basically the question of this series. And it's really good, even though I thought I'm not usually the fantasy kind of person, but this is just really nice, and it just immerses you into this kind of middle-aged time, and it's really nice. I like it, and I'm just hoping to get to the next one soon, even though I'm probably gonna put a few other books in between. And even though I don't do my Goodreads rating anymore, I still rate my books with 0 to 5 stars. And this one I gave 3 stars. The first book in the series got 4 stars from me, even though I was quite confused in the beginning. And the reason I gave this one just 3 is it's still a very good book. Like 3-star books for me are good books. It felt a little bit, I don't know, maybe slower. But I guess it's just normal for a second book in the series, so all good with this one. 3 stars for A Clash of Kings. Next, and this is actually the book that got me out of my reading slump, so I'm very, very thankful for that, is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. Now, we have a blurry thing here going on. See if this sounds better. There we go. So you've most certainly heard of Becky Albertalli, and probably of this book as well. It's basically a spin-off or a sequel, if you like, of Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. The movie is called Love, Simon. I think it's in the cinemas right now, so this is really well known. And this one, as I said, is kind of a spin-off about Leah, who is one of the characters in Simon, but not the main one, because obviously Simon's the main character in Simon. Leah is a bisexual girl. She knows she's bisexual. She's actually known for quite a long time. She's even told her mom. No, has she? I don't remember. Anyway, but she's not out to any of her friends, not even to Simon, who is gay. So Leah, she's in the closet and trying to figure out how to deal with her bisexuality, which gets more and more difficult as she develops a crush on a person from her friend group who is actually in another relationship, and it's very complicated and all of that. And it's just a nice bisexual YA love story, I would say, as far as the content goes. Now, I have heard mixed things about this book. Like, most people don't like it as much as Simon. Some don't like it at all. Some like it like medium. I did enjoy it a lot. However, it still only got 3 stars from me. But as I already said, 3 stars I think is good. And a 3-star book for me is a good read, one that I enjoyed reading and that I would definitely recommend. So it's not that 3 stars is bad or anything. However, Simon got 4, so I'm with those people who liked Simon better. Now, what I really, really loved about this book is that we learn more about Leah, because I don't know about you, but in Simon, Leah, I found her a little bit annoying. Like, she was just sometimes acting in ways which I couldn't understand, but now, like, looking back and knowing about her internal struggles that have probably been going on already in Simon, which takes place a little earlier, it makes you understand Leah better, and in my case it made me like her a lot better. Like, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like reading about Leah, like an entire book about her, because I didn't like her as a character as much, but after this book I do like her. Like, I think she's a likable character, even though she sometimes comes across a little like bratty and not very friendly, but I still think that she's like profoundly, she's a very nice and good person who just wants to be loved. And I believe that she has reasons for the way she acts. I don't think that she's just, I don't know, mean and annoying and very bratty and unfriendly. I think she's actually very insecure and kind of scared and anxious, which is making her behave in the way she does. So I did like Leah. I liked this book, gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and I would definitely recommend, especially if you liked Simon. I do think you will like this one too, especially if you're like me and maybe didn't like Leah as much and are thus hesitant, but it is worth picking up because you'll learn more about Leah, and it's just a nice fluffy story as well. So another thing I read is How to Be a Woman by Kathleen Moran. I listen to this one on audiobook on my trips to and from Germany every Saturday. And I just love listening to audiobooks in the car, especially when I drive alone. It's like really, it helps me focus. This book, I'm not sure if you know Kathleen Moran, like she's basically just a feminist from the UK. And this is kind of like a manifesto, and she kind of mixes non-fiction kind of comments on modern day feminism with her own experiences of growing up and becoming a woman. Like, she has some really funny stories about her first periods and all of that. And while that does sound a little bit trivial, maybe, she does really find some very important topics to talk about while still remaining on a like very humorous and easygoing level. So it's not this very technical kind of non-fiction book about feminism. It's more like, it does read like a memoir while still being kind of a manifesto. And if you call yourself a feminist, or you would just like to learn more about feminism, I do think this is the perfect book to go to. And I would especially recommend the audiobook because Kathleen Moran is just so funny, and she reads the book herself, which I think makes a huge difference. I've heard someone, don't remember who, but I've heard someone say that Kathleen's kind of rude language put her off a little bit. But in the audiobook, I don't know, it didn't bother me at all. Like, Kathleen, it sounds like Kathleen is just talking in the way she's talking, like she's not hiding anything, or in German we say to take a leaf before your mouth shows. So she's not doing that. She's just letting her actual and real language and thoughts spill out onto the page. And especially in the audiobook, I think that really worked fantastically. So I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I'd definitely recommend especially the audiobook. And then last but not least is a book I just finished today, which is Under the Udala Trees by Chinelo Okparanta. This book, I've talked about it on my Bookstagram already a little bit. You might not have heard of it. It is set in Nigeria during the Civil War in the 1970s, I think. Yeah, 1968 is when it takes off. And this book tells the story of a young girl called Icheoma, who, like, her father dies in the war quite early on in the book. And after that, her mom is kind of incapable of raising her, so she sends her off to a house of some kind of teacher to be his like a housekeeper when she's still pretty young. There, our girl Icheoma meets another girl called Amina, who is kind of in a similar situation, and the two of them, they fall in love. So that's like the onset of the actual story. 2 young girls falling in love in Nigeria during the Civil War. And the thing is, in the back here, in the author's note, it says that Nigeria is currently ranked as the 2nd most religious country, following very closely behind Ghana. So Nigeria is very, very, very religious and very traditional. So apparently 2 girls in love is just an absolute no-go. Still, these 2 girls are in love, and that's just how the story unfolds. And it's, as I said, I just read it today, like I finished it this morning, and it left me crying like a baby on the couch here. It was so heartbreaking. It's very emotional. It's at the same time extremely sad, but also lovely and cute. But it made me so angry. It made me feel so many things that it was kind of hard to cope with, and I just like burst out into tears because this book made me feel so many things at once. And especially in the end, it made me really, really angry because, again, in the author's note, the author said that on January 7th, 2014, same-sex relationships and the support of such relationships were criminalized, and they're punishable by up to 14 years in prison. That was signed in 2014, like 4 years ago. And homosexuality is still a crime in Nigeria. Whoa, seriously. Reading this after having read this heartbreaking story, it just made me so angry, especially now during Pride Month, you know, here. I mean, I love Pride Month. We're so privileged here. We can go out onto the road and show our pride, while in countries like Nigeria, people are still punished and sent to prison for being gay or lesbian or anything but straight. Like, this is just crazy, and it hurt me so much and made me feel so sad. And this is why I think that book here is so very important, because it triggers the conversation, or I hope it does. I hope it triggers conversations in Nigeria, and I hope that it gives a voice to LGBTQ plus people in Nigeria. What I find especially fascinating about this book, other than like this very heartbreaking story, is that it's actually a debut novel, but it's absolutely superbly written, really. This is one of the best kind of writing I've ever read, and from a first-time author, this is really like a huge achievement, and I congratulate the author for writing such a wonderful book. And I'm certainly going to read anything that Chinelo Okparanta ever puts out, and I hope she puts out a lot of stuff, because I can't get enough of her writing. It's just so fascinating. Like, she has a way of not only make you fall rapidly in love with the character, but also in this book she does some very interesting pacing. Like, she knows how to leave out stuff without having it feel like she kind of just glossed over it. So she leaves out stuff, and she does so on purpose, only to then get more into depth in some other part. And I don't know if that's something that might put off some people, because sometimes you're in a situation and you want to learn more about this particular situation, but then she jumps on to the next one. And I don't know if that could be a little bit annoying, but I don't know, it was just really well done here, and it worked really well. And she didn't leave out any of the really important parts. Like, I wasn't missing anything. It was just really well done. And without even hesitating for a second, I have given this book 5 out of 5 stars. It's just absolutely perfect, and I want to shove it into the face of every single, I don't know, I just read this, guys, read this, everyone, and give it to everyone you know, because it's really important. So these were the 4 books I read during the last couple of months, but hey, 4 is still better than none. And right now I'm reading quite ferociously because, or among other reasons, because it's Pride Month and there's a hashtag challenge going on called Pride Books 2, which I'm participating in. And like in this challenge, or for this challenge, I'm reading a couple of other LGBTQ plus books during the month, and I'm hoping to finish a couple of more. And I'll see how that goes and update you at some point in the future. Thanks very much for watching, and I'm hoping to see you sooner than last time. Bye bye!